This is the process that I like to follow. Project managers do not manage submittals. PEs do not submit RFI. Project managers do not do subcontractor and owner billing. That's not what they do. What PEs and PMs and construction managers do is they oversee scopes of work from the beginning to the end. RFIs and submittals and pay apps are just tools that we use along the way. And you've heard me say in boot camp before, it's a real simple system. Plan it first, build it right, and finish as you go. If we do those three things, we're going to be right on track. The quality system that I like to use, I just merged it with that system so that we could teach construction managers and do some cross training so they could figure out, hey, what is it that I do? It's not RFIs, it's not submittals. It really is that I manage the scope from the start of when they get onto the job site to when they leave, and we've closed them out and we've released their retaining. The first step in our quality process is teaming and purchasing. We have to get the right scopes bought out, identified, broken out, and identified and bought out by a contractor. If we do that, then we will have contractors assigned to all major scopes on the project. What I'm saying is that after we have an executed contract, no later than 2 weeks, I like to ask them either in a meeting, an email, or a phone call for the things that we need by the pre-construction date or the pre-install meeting, whatever you call it. Meaning that back here, I'm asking them for the submittals, the quality plan, the safety plan, the emergency contact list, the insurance and the bonds and all of the things. I'm asking them here for the stuff that I will need later on here. 3 weeks before a scope starts, and yes, I said 3, I like to do my pre-construction meeting or my pre-install meeting or my pre-activity meeting, whatever you call it, so that if the super and the foreman for that trade partner show up without having read the plans and specs, I can cancel the meeting and ask them to meet the next week, and I still have 2 weeks before the work starts. When I'm in the meeting, I will create a feature of work board. I will create an actual visual for anything that's critical. And then once I have the actual meeting, I will then make sure that I do a first in place mock-ups. I'll go out and check their work as they're starting so that I know that the rest of the time that they're doing the work, that they're doing it the right way. And then obviously I'll do their punch list and close them out. So what I've done here is I've broken it out into 3 different phases. Plan it first, build it right, and then finish as you go. This is how this works here. As a part of the teaming, I'll just give you an example. You can review the owner's top 10 requirements, any checklist you might have, and then basically go through the little agenda here. I won't go through it in detail. For the pre-mobilization meeting, the purpose is to explain to the contractor the deliverable needs, meaning what you need, and commit them to the pre-install meeting, the pre-construction meeting, and make sure that you've reviewed the owner's top 10, any checklists you might have, and then go through the standard list of items with them. Let's just keep going here for just a minute. Your pre-mobilization email, and it could be a phone call or a meeting, basically you need to establish good correspondence rules, site logistics plan, ask for a schedule, any owner focuses, onboard them, make sure they have any job information or job policy brochures, and then ask them about their deliveries and basically say, hey, are you going to be ready for your pre-construction meeting? Okay, then in your pre-install pre-construction meeting, this is where you collect and explain all deliverables to the foreman and the superintendent. You'll review the owner's top 10, any checklist, and you'll go through a standard list of agenda items. For your initial inspection, this is where you get the crews off on the right foot. You set any expectations. You review the owner's top 10, any checklist you have in-house, and you go through an agenda items. And this pattern follows all the way to the end for any major scopes so that you can buy the right scope, explain what you want, get what you want, and explain it to the foreman. Make sure that they're installing what you want, continue to make sure they're installing what you want, and then close them out and make sure that you got what you want. So everything here is plan it first, build it right, and finish as you go. This might seem complex, but most companies have this huge, elaborate, crazy quality control process, and I, for one, just don't think it needs to be that complex. I think it needs to be pretty simple. It needs to follow a process, and you pick and choose what you need for particular scopes. I will say that this is best managed in your team weekly tactical or your team meeting on a weekly basis. And what you can do is you can write contractors' names. If you have a point of release table or a chart, you can write contractors' names into this list. Like let's say scope number 1. Okay, work order executed. Once that's executed, then that goes down here and that gets transferred down. Okay, now we need to do a pre-mobilization meeting. When that's done, now we need to request rest of the submittals. And you could just move these contractors down this table and constantly be moving the ball down the field. The other thing that I would say is that we need to really have a good checklist or a good quality feature of work board. If you have a meeting where in your team weekly tactical, you go through your point of release chart according to this quality process, you should be able to at the right times with really critical scopes of work to put together a feature of work board like this. If you have complex flooring or terrazzo or something crazy, you would want something that clearly explains the expectation so that you could align with the owner, the trade partners know what the expectations are, and you can show, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Owner, I installed it like this. It's a very safe way to proceed with critical work. Now, if you have like 84 different scopes on your project, are you going to do a feature of work board for everyone? Absolutely not. But are you going to say, hey, on this job, the flooring is critical, the countertops are critical, and we have a really finicky type of metal panel on the outside, and do those three? Absolutely. On we go.